Okay, so everybody, this is part three of the Old Rag Mountain Loop Trail series. I'm starting at step 32 and taking this to the through 36, the last step. Okay, so the first thing we do is we want to turn off the study area and the Shenandoah National Park boundary. That'll leave our georeferenced trail map and the base map. And now we're going to convert this to a 3D local scene. So we click on View and convert to local scene. And if you look at this, push this away, just straight away, and you'll see there's already a contour or some relief added to the map, and that's coming from this built-in world elevation terrain model that comes from ArcGIS Online. It's not as detailed as the one we have. So what we're but it does look good, but it's not as detailed for a profile. So what we do is we click on ground, right click on it, and then choose add an elevation source. And I've already navigated to this folder, um, but you probably have to search for it, and it's on your desktop. It's where it's supposed to be. Look for your Old Rag Mountain Loop Trail project folder, and that's where you should have saved or exported your Old Rag feet layer. It might be inside this geodatabase. That's okay. It depends on where your default location was. If you don't find it somewhere in this folder or in this GDB, then you unfortunately sent it off into a black hole somewhere, and you'd have to find it. So once you find it, you click on it right here and tell that's now the new elevation source, the ground source. It takes a while for it to do the computation. Now this one is kind of crazy. Um, it's very vertically exaggerated. I'm not really a fan of it because it makes it look like we're climbing in the Himalayas. I mean, it's the top of Mount Everest. It's a good hike, but it's not that extreme. Um, so you want it to be, you want your north arrow to be pointing north. So um, you might have to swing it around a little bit and make sure that's north. Okay. And now we're going to create the profile. So now I'm at step 35. Um, and so what we do is we go up to analysis and search profile, which I've already put in there because I had to find it. And we click on it, profile. Now we could have put some line feature. If we already had a loop trail layer that somebody made, or we downloaded from the cloud, we could just put it in there and then make a profile immediately. But we don't have it, so we have to make it. So before we make it, let's do some settings here. Don't worry about profile ID feature or whatever that is, but we want the resolution to be finest or the highest, and we want to change the sample distance units to feet. Okay, so we click on this pen tool, and we start digitizing right here at the beginning of the trail. It's the blue part. Okay, you can see that we have our line feature now added. It's pretty much the same thing as a feature class, but we have to edit it, and we're editing it by tracing the trail. So I'm going to click around here, and what I recommend you do is just pick up the main bends. If this was your final project, you would be more careful, or if you were doing this for the National Park Service and they're going to hand these out to people, you might do a really careful job and make sure you're never off the trail. Um, but if you do this very carefully and you make a mistake, you're starting all over again, and that could be frustrating. So I would just, catch the big bends, and I'll meet you on the other side. Okay, so I'm getting close here, and when I get to the end, I'll double click to finish my line, but we're not done yet. And this is the mistake that people were making in class, and I have actually made it twice tonight. Okay, so my line is done. You can't really see it, but it's there. The thing we have to do when we're all done is we have to click run. It's the last step. Okay, so it looks like it's finished, and now you'll notice that we had this 2D layer that we made, the profile line feature, and we have our 3D output. So we right click on that 3D output, and actually before we do that, let's change its color. I'm going to change its size too. There it is. And we have our other line. I'm changing that as well. Okay, so our 3D output, right click, create chart, and create file. Or profile. There's your profile. Okay, so now this line, this color gave this line, that pink color, and the planar map, the color that you see here, that's coming from this one. Okay, then the last thing you do here is you export this image. I'm going to put it in here as well, and I'm just going to call this old rag trail profile. It's going to save it as a PNG or a JPEG. Okay, and that's the last step.